Hello, my friends. I'm so excited to share with you today's video. So today is day 5 of my Goddess Challenge. I can't believe it's day 5 already. So in this 7-day Goddess Challenge, I share with you each day a short video that is some of my best tips or practice or lesson learned or habit that I know you can easily incorporate into your life to bring you more energy, more focus, better look after yourself as part of your self-care, or in a way when you are feeling better and more on purpose and more focused, you will also increase your productivity. So this is something I always love, that it's not just about feeling good, but actually we can do more, but spending less time or energy on something and enjoy the process meanwhile. So I hope you have been finding my video useful. And today I'm going to talk about anti-aging and healthy eating habits. So anti-aging is not quite the right word, because you can't anti like something that is natural and also inevitable. But I think the attitude I have is that how can we best preserve our youth or youthful appearance, or just basically living in a way that it's more healthy and better preserve your health and well-being. And especially if you know how to look after yourself. So when you're not feeling 100% of you're under the weather, you know how to speed up the recovery process and you become more resilient as well. So in previous video, I talked about a lot of things that may be more in terms of the mind piece, that meditation, movement is to do with the body, which I share on day 1, but it's also helping you to clear your mind. And then yesterday I talked about meditation before, and yesterday I talked about, and also the other day I talked about planning your week or your month or your moon cycle. So I would say today is slightly different, because today I talk about actually eating habits. That it's something I have been learning and reading, get my hands on a lot of different materials, books, and people's knowledge and teachings to come up with what I think the 2 basic principle, no-brainer principle, really. You can call them the 2 no-brainer rules, and then 5 top tips. Now, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me as this is not a scientific study or share, but it's something as a woman, as a mom, that I have been practicing and using, and I would say pretty much information I gather from a lot of proper study out there. So it's not like weird fringe information you'll hear. Sometimes I think it's about making the information simpler to incorporate into your life, making it into easy to do habits rather than anything more than that. And so nothing should surprise you, but it's like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. It should be your reaction. So let's get started. So the 2, I would say, no-brainer basic rule is, number 1, eat unprocessed whole food if possible. So that's really no-brainer, isn't it? Like, we kind of all know at this day and age that you should not eat, refined carbohydrates like donuts out there and, chips, that kind of highly processed food. So eat whole food, which is, your fruit and vegetables, and, you eat grains, complex carbohydrate is better than, white rice is not as good as brown rice, that sort of thing. So this is really everybody kind of know, right? So, however, do sort of pay attention to what kind of little adjustment you can make. And, I get that, your kids may not like brown rice. So what I do is that I mix them, maybe white rice and brown rice and some quinoa. So you kind of make it easier for them to start and and then you can slowly decrease the white rice. Or you can still get in, and all this is not like black and white, isn't it? You kind of leaning towards the better, healthier eating habits, but just don't feel you have to do it this way or that way, make it rigid, because the chances are they don't like it, they don't eat it, and it's just not happening. So the basic thing, and avoid bad carbs, eat good carbs. And another basic principle, basic rule, it's obviously for me, it's eat good fats. What it means is that we all know that the bad, not all the fats or oils are created equal. So good fats are, for example, avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, and seeds. Those are good fats, and the those are from margarine are bad, and all that sort of stuff. Or fat, say from in the biscuits, or hyper, that kind of very much processed type of oil. That's so many types of them, but you can imagine in ready-made chips or biscuits or baked goods, they tend to use not very good oils. You can read the ingredients, but it's again a rule of thumb. So basic rule, no brainer, you got it. I'm not going to repeat it. But what I want to talk about is my sort of 5 tips that I kind of go by. So number 1, we all know that eating organic is best, but sometimes you may find it maybe doesn't suit your budget, and maybe it's harder to find organics. So what do? If you have to make a preference, you have a choice, then I will always go by this rule. For example, you choose the things that have thinner skin, or you're going to eat the skin, or that have a higher surface areas that could be affected by the fertilizers and the spray in air and stuff like that. So, for example, if I can I only have the money or time or accessibility to one organic product, I wouldn't use it on avocado, because avocado has thick skin and you're not going to eat the skin, right? So I'll maybe buy the kale or the lettuce, because obviously you eat the whole thing. Or tomatoes versus apples. Then even if I only have budget to buy one organic produce, I would prefer tomatoes, because we tend to eat the skin, and the skin is very thin, right? But with the apples, you can peel the skin if you don't want to, and also the skin itself is thicker, and if you see the wax on top, you can wash it with warm water. There are things that you can do to help. So I always try to say eat organic if possible, but if you have to make priorities, be wise about the choice you can make. Now, other things are like little things. So for example, you can buy organic oats, and that's the oats that you can see the whole thing, and then there are oats that they are chopped into pieces. In my culture, a lot of times that you should eat the whole thing rather than things that have been chopped or cut. It's the same with almost everything, with dates or things that they can pit the seed out. Always choose the things that it's whole rather than parts. That's what I have been learning since I was little. And then if you read up on this, you realize how much more processing this fruit and vegetables or things have gone through when you buy the parts instead of the whole. So corn, for instance. So obviously, if you buy the whole corn, it's better than those chopped top and tail off, kind of cleaned a bit kind of way. It's really simple, very straightforward. But if you put your thinking into it, then you're like, oh, so that could be sort of healthier. So obviously, if you really put in time, then you would prefer those that have been more processed. But if you talk about which one is healthier for you in the long term, definitely, then you know what's the best choice for you. Find the most whole, unprocessed, and if organic, choose what it's most important. If you only have budget for certain items, not everything. So that's my top tip for myself and others. The second thing I do, it's about intermittent fasting. So I know that many different kinds out there, and then there's some people do 5 days off and 2 days on or whatever. And so a lot of typical fasting is that you don't eat for 16 hours. So basically, your last meal is 7 p.m. or you finish eating by 8 p.m. And then for the next 16 hours, you don't eat. So give your body time to rest, and it will help your digestion, a lot of rejuvenation for yourself. And then you eat 16 hours after that time. So that will be the following morning, 8 a.m. will be 12 hours, and then will be to 12 p.m. lunchtime. So a lot of people do the 16-hour fast. Personally, I can't do 16. I would find 12, 13 is my zone, because my stomach is quite sensitive. So after 13 hours, just too much. It just kind of hurt. Even whether you're hungry or not, it's not even the point. If I'm having stomachache, there's no fun, isn't it? So I found that intermittent fasting, it's really helpful for people to lose some weight, but also helpful for the digestion. You sleep better. So, and also obviously don't eat just before you go to bed. But I find for myself 12 hours intermittent fasting, it's helpful. 12, 13 is for me. Some people do 16, and lots of people have great results for better health, but also losing weight for intermittent fasting. So read up on this topic if that's something of your interest. For me, rule of thumb is that I do about 12 hours, 13 hours. So last thing I will eat will be 8 p.m. and I won't eat until say 8:30, 9 a.m. But in between, you can have water, of course, herbal tea. And actually, what I read up is that you shouldn't have coconut water because too much calories in it and sugar and all that stuff, even natural. But you can have coffee and tea with tiny bit of milk. That's okay. So if I'm really feeling I need some warm beverage, I will go for that. But obviously it's not like you shouldn't have a cappuccino with lots of milk and 2 scoops of sugar, and that's just not clearly. So intermittent fasting, I think that's something I would recommend. So that's number 2. Number 3, don't snack all day long. So I think there was a time where these small meals but frequent meals is very popular. Yes and no, but you also need to know how small and how many those little meals you eat. Some people just snack all day, and that's just unwanted calories, and you may make bad choices. So I'm just not a big fan, because I think you need to let your body to sort of rest. You can't just constantly digesting something. So I do not recommend it. For me, when I stop doing it, when I become more conscious, it's all about becoming more aware, conscious of all that. So when I stop doing it, I really feel better with my energy level. There's no just up and down. Even though you eat good snacks, sometimes it's inevitable. You may eat a bit of this, a bit of that. End of the day, you didn't realize you've eaten a lot of snacks. So you may also eat less at the mealtime, and maybe the mealtime is a better nutritional value than the snacks, right? So I would say for me, it's breakfast, dinner, and lunch. So maybe I'll have a snack between breakfast and lunch, or a snack between lunch and dinner. But usually just 4 meals a day for me. And I have read upon from other people, and then a lot of people prefer that. A lot of trainers out there talk about you shouldn't snack all day. And even if you snack, you obviously eat healthy snack. But I'm not going to cover what kind of snack you shouldn't eat, because, a lot of information out there, and I think this is pretty straightforward. But it's just don't snack all day. That's the rule that I have. Oh, another thing about the fasting I forgot to say early on. What I find is that actually what I know is that if people fast for too long, sometimes instead of just going to a normal lunch that they will eat a very big lunch. They overeat. So that kind of defeats the purpose of if you were doing some weights management. So that should be, one thing to consider. So that's why I say 12, 13 hours is good for me. Some people do 16 or more, but if you eat a very big meal after, I don't think that's the right thing to do. And so don't overeat. And so, yeah. And I don't know whether you follow, but I do listen to Jillian Michaels' podcast. She has very interesting and very knowledgeable guests, and she is also the one who talked about intermittent fasting, and she also do 12 to 13 hours, not the 16 one, and she got some good tips on that. So if you wanted to learn more about not just about intermittent fasting, but in terms of health generally, she's obviously the star trainer on Biggest Loser, but her books are great, by the way. Her books are great, and she knows a lot about health and fitness, obviously. So they're another good information resource. Number 4, I do take my supplements. And I know that there are hundreds of them to choose from. Every one of them could be good or at something. But we just cannot take 100 of them, is it? So you have to make some choices. So I'm going to tell you my basic, and I think the most important thing, if you're on a budget, but also, it's just too many. It's a hassle, isn't it? When it is something inconvenient, you won't do it. So what I do is I put my supplements on a tabletop, so I know what I need to take. And after breakfast or lunch, I will put them away in a cupboard. So I remind myself, and they're obvious. So that's a habit I have. Habit is so important, because if you don't make something easy for you, you don't do it. If you make something accessible for you, you do it. So I put the supplements on my kitchen counter, so I can see for my kids, for my husband and myself. So it's easy, and midday will be all gone because I know that I've taken them. So for me, number one, I take a multi-grain powder. Now, not all the green powder created equal, and for me, there are two types of green powder, generally speaking, like from the way that I understand it. So you got super green powder that it's really act like a multivitamins. There's a lot of different ingredients, a lot of really great things, but it acts more like a vitamin for me because a lot of ingredients, they all good for you, and that's great. That's one type of super green. The other kind of super green, I usually there are few ingredients, maybe 4, like barley grass or spirulina or wheatgrass. That's sort of very greenies, and that purpose is more like alkalines in your body. So I find that they are kind of two different things. And to be honest, in one scoop, you either do one purpose or the other. It's hard to do both. You know what I mean? So if that 5 gram of a spoon is full of like 50 ingredients that is giving you all these zinc and magnesium and vitamins and minerals and all that green and red, perfect, great for multivitamin type of supplement, but it's not going to alkalinize your body as good as just take some pure wheatgrass per spoon. End of story. So for me, it's just kind of 2 types. You can choose which type that you need right now. It could be alkalizing your body or work as a multivitamin. If you already take a typical multivitamin per day, then I would prefer the greenies. Greenies. Anyway, you got me, right? But that's like, if I have limited budget, that would be my top one, like a super green powder and pro or prebiotics. I mean, actually it should be and. So they do two different things. One best description I've heard is the prebiotics is like cleaning, fertilizing the soil. The probiotic is helping you to digest like better with good gut bacteria. So they do different things. That maybe not the best definition and description, but you got my story. So I think that it's important to have good gut health because that helps you in so many different things: immunity, anti-aging, digestion, you name it. It's just so essential. So P and probiotics, the greenies, collagen. So for women especially, collagen, it's super useful. And actually in Chinese culture, you know how, I don't know, like whether you believe in all that, but for hundreds of years, they talk about the soups and the remedies, the sort of the food that have medicinal value or even just sort of supplementary form. The good fats, that fats come actually from, say, chicken feet or like wheat jelly type of stuff, like bone marrow, so pork bone soup. Anyway, for a long time, this sort of collagen culture is very strong in Asia, I would say, culture. So but there may be different broth, different bone broth type of thing. So bone broth is great for collagen and it's quite a great snack. Or you can take powder form. There's so many different kind available now. It's really popular. So I would suggest a collagen supplement. But that's sort of if you would like to, that's something I like to take, especially after having 2 babies and, after a certain age, but, may not be something you would consider, but it is my top 4 or 5. Okay, so now the next thing is the immunity booster. So, with the situation right now, I think it's important to just get your immune system strengthened. So I do tend to take an immune booster. So it could be in some sort of powder type of, like a lot of great berries type of powder. Supplement is great because they're tasty, easy to do. You can put in your shakes. You can just take it as a drink, or obviously the tablet capsule type of immunity booster. So that's sort of my top ones at the moment because of coronavirus, but also, in general, this is winter in Australia. I think that's quite important. Now that's my tops 4, but there could be definitely more. So I also love flaxseed oil. So that would be number 5 because I don't like fish oil because I have the repeats and I don't like it. So as a vegan or alternative to fish oil, you can try flaxseed oil, which I really like. Honorable mention is MCT oil. That's also great for metabolizing your oil fats in your body. Also great for mental clarity. So I love MCT oils, but I don't want to overwhelm you to too many things. But I think the top 5 is important, which is the greenies, probiotics, collagen, immunity booster, and flaxseed oil or fish oil. So that's my top ones that I will definitely recommend. And number 5, and my last tips is watch out the hidden sugar. So no brainer, you all know that white sugar not so great, don't drink your Coca-Cola, that type of thing. I think what I want to talk about or emphasize here is the hidden sugar. So things that you especially when things are low fat, that related to what I talked about earlier on, but good fats. Because a lot of low fat option, you have to read the ingredients on the label, because sometimes the low fat option have some kind of sweetener or sugar to balance the taste. So even though it may be like no fat or 1 or 2% fat, but they actually add something else to balance the taste. And sometimes it's sugar or sometimes it's sweetener. Both of them are not great, right? So watch out the hidden sugar, read the label. So if you eat whole food, there's just no added sugar possible, right? You take a fruit or vegetable, there's just no hidden added sugar. And anything in the package format, you should read the label. And I'm talking about hidden sugar, things that, that have anything to do with corn syrup or concentrated fruit juice. That could be a dodgy one. Because what is that fruit juice, 100% fruit juice, or is that extra sugar in it? Anyway, so there's a lot of hidden things that that people don't pay attention to. So I say hidden sugar is important to look at. And also sweetener is not great for you, is linked to many negative side effects. So if you really do want something sweet to add to, and there's just 2 I use. One is stevia, the other one is monk fruit extract. This is the 2 that I think it's all right if I want to add something sweet. Obviously you can use dates, and honey and maple syrup are not bad things because they're pretty natural, but they are sugar. So I'm not against adding some honey to your tea or adding maple syrup to your pancakes. I'm not at all. Like if you make sure organic if possible, and you look at the ingredients they add, some of them are really just sugar as well, but sugar is sugar. So if you're watching your weight and you want to maybe stop eating so much sugar, then you need to pay attention that using this substitute may not be really a long-term solution. But I would say honey and maple syrup are great because they have more than just sugar. They have trace minerals. So maple syrup and honey have many medicinal benefits as well. But they are sugar, but that's okay sugar in my opinion. Just in moderation. Sweetener, most of them are terrible, except I'm okay with stevia and monk fruit extract, but anything else I'm just sort of like nah. But I don't like to buy low fat products for this particular reason. They add so much other things in it to balance it out. So I would say eat good fats in moderation rather than eat lots of low fat products. Does it make sense? Yeah, I hope so. So these are my top tips for healthy, mindful, anti-aging, you preserving eating habits, and I hope you find them helpful. This is probably a much longer video than anticipated, but this is what I've distilled for many years of practice, research, and reading and learning from different people and experts in the industry. So I hope you find them useful. Don't forget that this is one of my, celebration or activity alongside to my planners launch. So if you want to win one of the 2 copies, please like and share any of this video this week, and I'll pick a winner on Wednesday. So I hope you enjoyed that, and you should have a great day ahead and think about what you want to eat today and tomorrow. So have fun, and I will talk to you again soon.